They ended my career in under 10 minutes, and everyone believed them. I had spent 12 years teaching English at a private school, building something I was genuinely proud of. But one complaint from the wrong family destroyed all of it overnight. My name is Daniel, and I taught at Maplewood Academy, a prestigious private school in a wealthy Connecticut suburb. The hallways smelled like oak wood and quiet ambition. I genuinely loved going to work every single morning. That semester, a transfer student named Marcus joined my junior English class. He had slick-back brown hair and always wore a red polo shirt and khaki pants, even on casual Fridays. On the very first day, he told me he did not read books. When midterm essays came back, Marcus scored a 42. His paper was hollow and completely disconnected from every theme we had analyzed together in class. I graded it honestly because I had always believed that integrity was non-negotiable in my classroom. 2 days after I returned the exams, I was called to the principal's office. Standing beside Principal Hartley was Marcus's father, a tall man in his late 40s with sharp features, silver-streaked hair, and an expensive charcoal suit. He did not introduce himself. He simply started talking. The accusation was that I had been targeting Marcus unfairly, that I made dismissive and biased comments in class, and that my grading reflected personal hostility. None of it was real. I had never spoken a word to Marcus outside of lesson material. Principal Hartley, a heavy-set man in his 50s with thinning gray hair and a navy blue suit, said the school had received a formal written complaint and would be launching an investigation. He slid a document across the desk without meeting my eyes. He had already decided. I was placed on administrative leave while the school conducted its investigation. Over the next 2 weeks, I sat home waiting, watching my phone for updates that never came. When I learned that 3 students had given written statements against me, I felt physically sick. They called me back on a Thursday morning. Principal Hartley sat across from me with a thin manila folder and no expression. The decision was final. My contract was terminated effective immediately. 12 years of my life, and it was over in 11 words. I walked to my car in the school parking lot and sat there for nearly an hour. My lesson plans were still on my classroom desk. My students' essays were still in my bag. I had nowhere left to take them. The silence was the loudest thing I had ever felt. The months that followed were brutal. I applied to 16 schools and received 2 rejection letters. Word had traveled quietly through private school networks, and in those circles, an accusation is enough to close every door permanently. I was starting to believe it was over. Then one afternoon, I received an unexpected message from a former student named Priya. She had graduated 2 years earlier and was now studying investigative journalism. She said she had seen something that troubled her, and she needed to meet with me in person. Priya had been tutoring at the school library when she overheard Marcus and 2 classmates talking. One of them had laughed and said his dad had already taken care of everything. She leaned forward when she told me, hands shaking slightly on the cafe table. I could not let it go. I began keeping detailed notes in a legal pad. Names, dates, timestamps, anything Priya or I could verify independently. It felt strange to become the investigator of my own destruction, but I had nothing left to lose. Priya found the real evidence. A publicly posted school budget filing showed that Marcus's father had made a $60,000 donation to the Maplewood Academy Endowment Fund the same week I was terminated. The paper trail was faint, but it connected exactly where we needed it to. A former colleague still inside the school forwarded me an email chain she had discovered. It included a message from Hartley to a board liaison discussing, quote, adjusting the outcome of the teacher review before my investigation had even been formally concluded. That sentence stopped my heart. Then Priya sent me a flyer. The Maplewood Academy Annual Excellence Gala was coming in 3 weeks, a black-tie fundraiser where board members, major donors, and local press gathered in one room. Marcus's father was this year's featured keynote sponsor. It was the perfect stage. We spent 3 weeks preparing every document in order. A journalist friend helped us organize the evidence into a clean visual presentation, crisp and impossible to dismiss. I was not going to shout at anyone. I was going to show everyone exactly what had been done. The night of the gala, I put on the only suit I still owned and drove to Maplewood Academy for the first time since they had fired me. The parking lot was full of luxury cars. The auditorium glowed warm gold through tall glass windows. Priya had obtained 2 press credentials through her journalism program at the university. We walked in through the side entrance with badges clipped to our jackets, unremarkable among the photographers and reporters. The ballroom was all chandeliers and money and self-satisfaction. I spotted Marcus near the dessert table, still wearing his slick-back brown hair and his red polo shirt and khaki pants even to a formal gala, scrolling his phone. His father, the tall man in his late 40s with sharp features, silver-streaked hair, and an expensive charcoal suit, stood nearby accepting handshakes. Priya slipped into the press section and connected her laptop to the display port near the stage. My hands were perfectly steady, which surprised me. When the MC approached the podium to begin the evening's formal presentations, I felt the whole room shrink to a single breath. Marcus's father walked to the podium to accept a bronze appreciation plaque for his generous contribution to Maplewood students. He thanked Principal Hartley. He thanked the board. He said, and I remember every single word, that he believed in protecting this school's integrity at all costs. That was when I nodded to Priya. The slide appeared on the main projection screen behind the podium before anyone could react. The room went silent the way a room goes silent when something enormous has just broken open, all at once and all together. The screen showed the donation record with the date highlighted. Below, it was the email chain, with the phrase adjusting the outcome marked in red. Below, there was Priya's detailed written witness account. 300 people in formal dress read every word of it in total silence. Marcus's father released the podium and stepped back. Principal Hartley rose from his chair and pointed at me across the room, shouting something I could not hear over the sudden noise. 2 board members stood from their table. A journalist near Priya had already started recording on her phone. I did not move. I stood at the back of that ballroom and let the room erupt around me. I had spent 12 years teaching students that honesty costs something real. Standing there in that moment, I was finally living the exact lesson I had always taught. By the next morning, the footage had appeared on the local news. The school board issued a public statement announcing an external independent investigation into Principal Hartley's conduct and the circumstances of my termination. Marcus's father released a written statement that said nothing and admitted everything between the lines. Within 8 weeks, Principal Hartley had resigned from his position. The school board sent me a formal written apology and a financial settlement covering my full salary for the previous year. 3 of the schools that had rejected me reached out again. I declined every single one of them. I used the settlement to open a small tutoring center for first-generation students who could not afford tuition at schools like Maplewood. The truth does not always arrive on schedule, but when it finally arrives, it arrives complete. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe.